Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome to New Life Live. Really glad you're with us here today. And I hope and pray that this is going to be a good day for you. It's a good day for us. And joining me, Milan Yerkovich. Hello, Milan. How are you today?
Steve, good morning or good day to you. How are you?
Good day.
Good.
I'm doing great. Had a great weekend. My wife was at a retreat. I was with the kids. We cleaned house and closets all weekend long just to be there for her.
Wow.
And so when she came home, I mean, it was a great victory for man and children. And then that wow came from Dr. Alice Benton.
Hi,
Alice, how
gentlemen.
you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well. Hi, everybody.
Many of you, I don't think any of you would know, but Alice has really been on our hearts and in our prayers. And Alice, why don't you just share with folks what you've been through over the past few months here?
Well, we were pregnant with our fourth baby, and at 3 months along, we miscarried. And it is a big loss to our family. We were all really excited about having a fourth child. And there has been so much grace and peace and love through the loss and through the sorrow. I was talking about this before we came on air. My family is all back in Minnesota, so it's just our little family here in California. We don't have much extended family. And we couldn't get a hold of my family to tell them about our miscarriage. But we shared it with our New Life family. And we received so many calls and prayers and love and support and fruit at our home. Larry and Rhonda brought fruit to us. And it was the spiritual family showing up for us when we really needed it. And then my family got online afterwards. But God just showed up in so many ways for us.
How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Coming along. I had to take, of course, a few days off recovering. And my husband and my kids really loved up on me. There was a point where I was really cold from the loss of blood. And my 7-year-old son crawled up and he said, "I will warm you up." And he just stayed in bed with me as long as I needed it.
That's pretty sweet.
Super sweet.
Well, you've been in our prayers, and I just know it's a very tough thing. And some people don't, I've talked to people, they don't understand the loss, but it's a real loss. And we've been through it. Milan and Kay have been through it. And we just ask folks to continue to pray for you and healing and recovery. And, in this world, a fallen world, these are the kinds of things that happen. And, nobody can fully be prepared except to realize these are the kinds of things that happen in a fallen world. And I just pray that whatever you're going through, that there be no difficulty in you sharing with others whatever that painful situation is, and you allow people to minister to you and to help you.
Well, Steve, I was hoping to be able to talk about it on the air because through this, I have discovered how many others like you and Milan have gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a secret society of all of us that have lost children in this way. And I want us to be able to speak about it and share the pain with each other and lean on one another for support because it's so hard to go through.
All right. Well, if you want to join us, you could actually call us, and we're going to do another program in a bit. 1-800-229-3000. If you're on Facebook Live, we are live on Facebook Live, and I'll tell you about something that's going to happen on Tuesday, March the 10th. We'll be back right after this.
Divorce shattered my family. I was very confused about my feelings, which are guilt, shame, and anger.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. I'm just wondering if you're feeling stuck and you're hiding behind a mask, or maybe you're ignoring some pain and you're just not wanting anybody to see the real you. Maybe you're just gripped by fear or guilt, shame, anger. There's grieving that needs to be done. Well, Chris Williams and I are going to be doing the Finding Freedom Workshop. It's a great place to discover how to live a life of freedom, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll learn how to overcome your painful past and recognize the habits and behaviors that can lead you to the life God intended. It's time to get free from the rut you're in and experience transformation in your life.
Join Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams for the New Life Finding Freedom Workshop coming to Orange County March 13th to the 15th. To register, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. If you're listening to the program or watching it on Facebook on Wednesday, this doesn't apply. But if you're watching Real Live Live on Facebook Live on Monday, tomorrow I'm in Dallas, and I'm going to be taping Life Today with James Robison, Sheila Walsh. Many of you know that program. Love for you to be in the audience if you'd like to be. And here's what you could do. You could go to lifetoday.org/tickets and sign up and come join me and Sheila and the crew there at Life Today. Or you could just call them at this phone number. It's 1-817-354-3655. Love to see you there and be part of that. lifetoday.org/tickets and then 817-354-3655. Let's go to the calls, because that's the reason that we are here today. And I think I would love to talk with, well, how about we talk with, let's go to Hillary from Tulsa, Oklahoma. She listens on our New Life app that's available to anybody at the App Store. Hi there, Hillary. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing fine, thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help today?
Well, I'm trying to narrow down my question. My question is how I can heal and maybe move forward with a husband who has violated my trust financially. So I can give you backstory. My husband is a wonderful man. He has come from a lot of childhood trauma. He's very kind and caring. We've been married 20 years. And he's great in many, many realms, and we love each other. But he has damaged my trust by not listening to me for financial decisions and exercising a lot of control financially. And then last year, I found out that he used an inheritance of mine without my permission. Or he had my permission, but he used it in a way that I didn't give him permission to use it. And so there's been some hiding and lying, like, throughout the marriage around finances.
Yeah.
And he's repentant, but I don't see, like, forward progress. And we're in counseling, but, you know, the counselors and the church elders that we've talked to kind of come back to, like, it feels like what they're saying to me is, you know, you just need to forgive him and let it go. And it's everybody's money, you know, in a family. And I get that, but I just feel really hurt, and I'm having a hard time, like, moving on.
Yeah. Okay. So, what would you like to see him do that would give you some feeling of security, or might take one step toward trusting him again? What could he do?
He could get a job.
Oh, boy.
I would really like to see him get a job.
And how long has it been since yeah, okay.
He's worked for himself, you know, all 20 years of our marriage, and really he spends a lot of time ministering to people, which is great, but you know, he doesn't have a position as a minister, and so he's not paid for that work. And he's very idealistic, and it just feels like I feel like the kids and I end up bearing kind of the responsibility of that. And so, so to me, I've asked him just to get a job. And that was in November, and he's been looking since then, but it feels half-hearted to me.
Yeah. Okay. So the question for us is, your question would be what?
My question is, what can I do to heal and possibly to help move him in a positive direction?
Okay. Let's start with Milan here. And, Milan, we come across these situations where a man really has a hard time just having a normal job that could provide benefits and security and things. And Hillary's saying, hey, if you really want to do something about this thing you caused, go get a job. And that was November, and this is March.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, Hillary, thank you for your call. It's a great call, but it highlights something that's acutely important to me. One of our radio co-hosts, Sherry, Dr. Sherry, says, if it's hysterical, it's historical. And so when we see bad behavior in the present, it usually 99% of the time has a historical roots to it. The church, many counselors, they will spend their time trying to modify behavior in the present, getting a person to commit to doing something new. But you said your husband has trauma in his history. And a traumatized person, unless we really work on that trauma and we learn to manage the trauma, people that have been traumatized struggle to maintain what Steve just called normal lifestyle. They struggle to follow normal routines. And if nobody is talking to your husband about history, trauma, perhaps doing EMDR, Steve and Alice and Hillary, I've seen a lot of people from traumatic backgrounds, and they cannot manage themselves in the present world. They have to work for themselves, because to work for somebody else is threatening or claustrophobic or intimidating. And the issue is history. Now, if you want him to grow, and certainly your trust has been eroded, if you want him to grow, he needs to be with the right people. Now, is he with a trauma therapist?
He's not. We switched from a therapist that wasn't a Christian, and so he wasn't a good fit, and we just started with a new therapist that's a couples counselor, but he really wants to work on like communication styles. And
well, those are all important.
It feels like it is that I don't feel like it's getting, what you said really hits home to me, because it feels like there's a fear there that's
absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then I don't know what to do, and so I panic, but there's money over here, and I'm going to spend it because I have to, because I got to pay the bills or whatever I'm doing. I don't need to know the details, but I'm just saying there's a chaotic way, a disorganized way the person is behaving based upon that imprint from long ago. So I love it that he's kind and loving and he's a good guy and he has ministry, but see, he won't even know how to run a day and to balance out how much time he spends here and there. And I'll say this one last thing. People from chaotic, disorganized backgrounds tend to be very day-to-day in their orientations. They don't have a lot of forward planning and thinking.
Exactly.
And you know what? Before I turn over to Alice, I would just say this. Hey, here's a communication skill that really works for a lot of people. Tell the truth. And if you're not going to tell the truth, then learning how to better communicate something that I don't even believe to be true probably isn't going to help us in the long run. So if you're not telling the truth, we have to go a step back to what is in you, the character defect based on the trauma in childhood that causes you to distort the truth. Alice, what are your thoughts here for her and on him?
Hillary, I'm concerned if a big focus of the counseling is that you need to forgive and you need to let go, although we all agree important. I hope they're also calling your husband up into confessing that
Sure.
he has been irresponsible financially, and it sounds like has left a lot of the weight of the responsibility on you. I'd also hope for a confession that he used your inheritance without your full knowledge and your full permission. And those kind of confessions allow God to spiritually assist if he can become humble enough to make that confession to you in the presence of the counselor. So that's something that if it's not happening, you can ask the counselor for that. And if this counselor isn't able to provide that, I would look around a little bit. Ask for it first because they probably can. But otherwise, you may need to have a strong male counselor who can call him up into his manhood in a way that would be honoring of you, the marriage, and of God.
Well, that's why I started with what would you like to see him do? And it's pretty clear you'd like him to tell the truth and you'd like him to get a job. And I really think sometimes, though, the getting the job thing could be just setting him up to fail because, you know, he can't function well on working for somebody else. So he really does need to be in with that trauma specialist. But here's the thing that I'm going to help you with. I want to send you, take your life back, and then I'm going to send you this workbook and a life recovery Bible on grief, because this will help you, I think, not just instantly forgive him, but grieve what he's taken from you, which is security, the money, all that kind of stuff that you lost here. Let's go through a grieving process, and then you can fully forgive him. But none of your need to forgive, which may take a long time, should supersede his need to grow character. And I wish you were saying to us, well, we go to marriage counseling, but he's going to this other counselor in addition to being in a men's Bible study, in addition to being in some other kind of group that could help him grow character. So I'm glad you called. I'm going to do one thing for him. I'm going to send him Every Man's Bible. It is a great Bible that can help him get into the Word in a way that the other Bibles have. I mean, it's just everything in there is built for him to easily access God's truth and apply it to his life. So all of that's going to come to you. And anybody else wanting the Life Recovery Bible, Every Man's Bible, or that grief workbook to go with Life Recovery, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd be glad to help you. Let's go to David. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. National Religious Broadcasters is NRB Network there. Television is where he watches us. David, how are you today?
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I really appreciate it. I'm really struggling.
Okay.
Heartbroken and dealing with a lot of grief. Just a quick background. I come from an extremely unwanted background. My mother and stepfather never really wanted me. They thought I was a mistake. And she thought her first husband was a mistake, and I was born to him. And she took it out on me very viciously. And she, like I said, thought I was a mistake and treated me that way until I got kicked out at age 15. And after that, I moved in with my step-grandparents somehow. And I thought my problems would go away once I was out of that abusive, hateful situation. But they, you know, problems, when they're that traumatized inside of me, they stay inside you even though you're out of that situation. That was a surprise to me because I thought I'd be rid of my hurts and pains and insecurities. And I became a Christian, and I struggled with Christianity. Does God there? Does he really love me? And there was times it was a blessing, and times that Christianity was a curse to me, condemnation.
So what are you going through now, and how could we help you today?
These last 5 years have been absolutely horrible. I was in college, and I was still struggling with emotional issues, borderline depression issues, supposedly. And I started to get very, very depressed. And I finally said, you know what, I'm not going to let this get me down anymore. And I tried to draw closer to God. And the closer I drew to God, the more anxiety and confusion and depressed I got while I was seeing a therapist.
Okay, so
She
how
thought
could
that was,
we help you with that today? What were you thinking
boy,
we could
I
help
don't
you
know. I
with? Mm-hmm.
been through different therapists, and they don't know what to say. I'm with a therapist now, and he doesn't know what to say. I just
Okay.
want to see that life is worth living. I
Okay.
do have questions about God loving me and God
All right.
being
Well,
there
David.
now.
All right, David. I want you to hold on.
Sure.
We're going to give you some help right after this.
Okay.
And
Okay.
how old are you, David?
57.
57. Okay. You're listening to New Life Live. Really glad that you're here. Want to talk to you about finding freedom. This is something we're going to do this weekend. You can still get in, and it's something that could benefit David. It's that workshop for the ungrieved loss or the depression or anxiety that's really killing what God wants to do for us. The obsession of the mind or the compulsion or impulsivity. All of that. We're going to help people find some freedom. 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out about it.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change, and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down something to another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back talking with David, and depression, years of struggle, anxiety, paralysis.
Right.
And so, David, we're going to give you some help here, and
Thank you. Thank you.
You've done a lot of things. I don't know how much this is going to help, but we're sure going to try. Milan, what are you thinking when you hear the situation here with David? A long, long history here.
David, I am very sad and very ashamed that therapists they don't know what to say to you, or the people you're talking to don't know what to say.
Yeah.
That's a shame. But something that, from an attachment viewpoint, that is very important, of course, our book, How We Love, explains attachment and the power of the formative years to imprint or to create these imprints. The original title of our book was Imprints of Intimacy, these imprints that stick with us for a lifetime. And what you're doing, and this is just my thoughts on this about you, is you're taking your horizontal experience with your family of origin and the horrible way that you were treated and the precarious, tenuous nature of that treatment, where you're always sitting on the edge of your seat, thin ice, walking on eggshells, And you're going to project that onto God. It's the natural thing for your mind to do, is to say, he's going to treat me like everybody else.
Yeah, and I've asked for deliverance from that and tried to get away from that. I don't know.
But deliverance isn't the answer. I speak to groups all over the United States, including deliverance groups, and I tell them, we grow out of this. We don't get delivered out of this. We have to grow out of it with intimate relationships with a small group of people that can show us a consistent level of love, and they can help to change that message in the real time right now. And as I learn horizontally a new secure connection with a spouse, with a primary attachment, with a Peter, James, and John, three closest people, I can gradually grow out of it because I'm having new messages imprinted into my brain. Alice, what would you add to that?
Well, as Milan is talking about these imprinted messages, David, I imagine that you might have learned about yourself because of the men in your life and the way that they abandoned you, your mother as well, that something's wrong with you and that you're unlovable. And if those beliefs are true for you, we tend to push away from people, we tend to isolate, and maybe we get productive. Like, it's great that you're pursuing college. You pursued therapy with several different therapists. You have a strength in you to move forward.
I took flight lessons, and I was a good student pilot. I was doing all kind of things. I was in drama club. I used to speak in front of churches. But these last 5 years, it seemed the closer I got to God and wanted to break out, the more confusing these thoughts were, the more mental anguish I went through. And my therapist thought that was strange. She says, the more closer you become to God, the more these obsessive negative thoughts attack you.
Well, let me just mention this to you, buddy. Let me mention this to you, David. There was something else that occurred over these past few years in addition to your growing closer to God.
Yeah.
You know what that is?
No.
You got older.
Yeah.
And our brains don't always age well. And if I was you, I would be looking into what's going on with my brain here, and is there some kind of supplement or medication or whatever that would help my brain? Now let me ask you this, David. You have sought a lot of help and you're stuck. Tell me how much exercise you're getting every day.
Well, the more depressed I am, it's harder to. I used to exercise all the time.
David,
when I felt better.
I didn't ask you.
I
didn't ask David. I wanted to know how much exercise a day you're getting.
Well, what I'm saying is, it's a fraction of what I used to. I exercise about 4 or 5 times a day, a week.
Okay, so if you're like me, you might exaggerate the amount of a little bit, but I'm going to tell you something. That's something you can do, whether you like it or not. You can exercise more. You have the time to go take a walk as if you're in a hurry. You can do that.
That's what I do.
So we know that, and you can eliminate caffeine and sugar and all sorts of practical things that can be done. But David, after 5 years of this, what I fear for you is you're locked in and you don't think, or you're not willing to do anything different to get out of it. In fact, it's almost like before we can get something out of our mouth here to help you, you've almost got the answer to that or the reply to that back. And I don't know if there's anything that you're going to hear us say that you're going to turn around today and you're actually going to do it. And that breaks my heart for you, because it is the breaking of the will in the direction we've gone that God takes a person and says, okay, now let's get started. Alice, you have a thought here before we go to the break?
Well, David, depression is often covering up anger that we repress or turn in towards ourselves, and sadness over what we've lost that we haven't yet grieved. So I want you to have the permission with your therapist, with other safe men, to get angry, to feel angry at your parents, at God, and to allow that anger to then turn into grief, because that's what helps resolve it. And honestly, whenever we try to get closer to God, David, we tend to experience the enemy trying to interfere with that. So in a way, it makes a lot of sense that as you get closer to God, you're suffering more. But don't let that stop you, David.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come right back. I'm so glad you're with us here today. You pray for David. We will.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad you're with us. Can't encourage you more. Maybe there's something that you could relate to in David's call. You're stuck. You don't know what to do. It is a struggle. You call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Say, tell me about this Finding Freedom. It's this weekend. You could still get in. Chris Williams and I are going to be doing this together, and there are going to be people that walked in not understanding the source or the solution, and you'll understand both. 1-800-NEW-LIFE, Finding Freedom. Let's go back to our calls. How about we talk with, let's go over here to Sally. She's calling from Tallahassee, Florida, and she listens on Sirius XM, channel 131, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Hey there, how are you today?
Good, thank you to everyone. I appreciate you taking my call.
How could we help?
And I listen frequently, and even though you may not be talking about the issue that I'm concerned about at the time, something you say always applies. And I'm just really grateful for your ministry. I'm a giver, and I've benefited from your ministry so much. Thanks a million.
Thank you for that. Thanks for helping us, and thanks for saying that we're not just talking to callers here. How could we help you?
Okay, so yesterday I found out something that I was suspecting, that I have two daughters. The older one is married. They're in their mid-30s. And the husband of the older daughter was offended last summer by the younger one, something very reasonable that she said. And he refuses to talk to her. He refuses to let her in the house. My two girls used to work together in my son-in-law and daughter's business. Now, younger daughter's excluded, from everything. And I'm going out to visit them for the first time. I suspected something was wrong, but I just found out yesterday, confirmed. I half think that he won't want me in their house either, although I'm not connected to anything that's happened. In fact, I gave them the money they needed, $100,000 to buy their business, so they wouldn't be owing money to a creep. And I wonder how to handle this. Part of me wants to just do whatever older daughter needs to help her, because she's already in a tough spot. So I thought I'd call you guys and see what suggestions you have.
Okay.
I love him. You know, God loves us when we're not perfect.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I tell him.
Let's see what Alice. Let's see what Alice has to say. This has got to be such a tough situation to be in. Alice, what are your thoughts here?
We're all really sad.
Yeah. Let's see what Alice says.
This is awful to see this division between your daughters, and to not understand how you're.
Not between the daughters. The older one goes to visit the younger one. They live 5 minutes away from each other.
And does your younger daughter still?
Not divided.
Does she still work in the business? The younger daughter?
No. He won't let her.
Did they fire her?
Yes. Well, not with those words, but she's not asked to. They run a pack trip operation. She's not asked. They've hired someone else. She's not asked to join the trip, and
okay. And what do you understand about how your younger daughter offended her brother-in-law? Could you briefly explain that?
Sure. They were out on a pack trip. My 2 girls do the wrangling and cooking, and husband wasn't his job was to saddle the horses for the whole group. And the younger daughter noticed that week after week her horse was the only one not saddled, even though she's, in the kitchen doing work for everyone, making everyone's lunches, etc. And she said, "Would you please saddle my horse for me?" And so because of that, although that can't really be it. I mean, she said he's like, you got to walk on eggshells around him. And he was just looking for something, anything. So she asked him nicely to saddle her horse, and he wouldn't even talk to her. And he had my older daughter, he wouldn't even tell the younger one that anything was wrong, but he was acting aloof and not talking to her, and finally had his wife tell the sister.
And do you know your son-in-law to be a man who's easily angered?
Yes.
Okay. And does your husband...
easily offended, and easily, like, always drawing a line and saying, okay, we're never going to see those people again.
Right. So, and then, Alice, you had a question about the husband?
If your husband has a relationship with your son-in-law.
I'm divorced for 30 years.
Okay.
Same question, though.
But
does your husband have a relationship with him? Does your ex-husband have a relationship? Okay.
I was thinking of who would make a difference to son-in-law, and I thought of my former husband, and they have a great relationship, except that former husband is really weak at standing up for what's right, which was one of the problems we had in our marriage. So I mean, it's worth a try. I'm like, who could speak to son-in-law, a man who would make a difference to him? And I thought of my former husband, and I thought of a neighbor, but I don't want to tell the neighbor their, the family problems.
Okay. So let me just step in here for a second. Your younger daughter has a choice with her life, and if I was her, I would be choosing not to want to be around this person at this point. I'm much more concerned about your older. I'm much more concerned about your older daughter, who is living in this kind of situation. I'd be much more wanting to help her. If you could help her, then that's going to spill over into resolving the issue with your younger daughter. Milan, you're looking like you want to say something here. So what is it that, let's hear what Milan has to say here. Milan?
Sally, the most significant person that's going to change your son-in-law is your oldest daughter.
Yeah.
Unless she can say to him, this behavior of cutting people off when you feel offended, challenged, questioned, critiqued, questioned, this has to stop, because I personally am not going to give up my family. I'm not going to give up my friends. I'm not going to do this anymore. And your oldest daughter number one, has to get to a place where she says, I'm done with this behavior because it's fracturing my personal family. Now, that's what you can talk about influences, but the chief person to influence in a marriage is going to be the spouse. When they say no more, it's called.
What if he says, to heck with you, we're getting divorced?
Then,
and now he owns the business. He's the sole LLC operator, and my daughter.
Let me finish, Sally. So why does he have that sole leadership and ownership of the LLC? You see, why did that happen? Was your daughter not included? But you have a choice.
I haven't talked to them about it.
Sally, you have a choice. Sally, your daughter has a choice here. I can draw a boundary and say, I'm getting a separation from you until you work on this. If he says, fine, I'm divorcing you, then what she has is she has a freedom from a very toxic person. If she stays with that for 30 years and 40 years and lives with that her whole life, it will completely depersonalize or take her personhood away. So what I'm saying is your daughter has to be the one to say something to him and set a boundary.
And she's a people pleaser.
Sally.
Yep.
You have to give up what I call fatal excuses.
That's right.
The fatal excuse you threw out is, and then he ends up with the business. That's pretty irrelevant compared to your daughter is being alienated from her family. Mm-hmm. She should be saying to him, I'm living in a nightmare now because my mother funded our company and now the sister I love is not welcome in our home or at that business. Things have to change now. And ex-husband needs to strengthen your daughter. You need to strengthen her. But you need to sit down and write down every one of these fatal excuses you're throwing up here and say, yeah, but in spite of that, here's the right thing to do. We don't want them to divorce, but your daughter is living a nightmare, totally controlled by a very controlling, sick man that's running everybody in the family off. And the only way that changes.
For years, all I did was focus on my husband, and my needs were unmet because of his sexual addiction. The counselors focused on him, and all the books I read were about him and how to help him.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
This weekend gives me permission to now focus on me.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
I am so thankful to New Life for giving me what I know now is going to be a new life.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas June 26th through the 28th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the Transformation Welcome Gift, which includes a personal-sized Life Recovery Bible, a Life Recovery Journal, and 5 Life Recovery Workbooks. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here. Alice, you have a thought here for us.
Well, Sally, I would encourage you to approach your older daughter with curiosity to get her take and how she sees this and what, if anything, upsets her about it. And then I'd have you ask her, daughter, what do you want from me? How can I help you? She may not want anything from you in this. But after having fully listened to her, giving her the chance to speak, you might acknowledge that you see that perhaps because of you and your husband and some things that went on in your family of origin, you see the people-pleasing tendencies in your daughter, and you want to help her grow beyond that. And you can offer her resources to grow beyond it, whether it's our boundaries books or one of our weekends, to strengthen her so that she can then make whatever decision she will that might have an ending effect on her marriage. So I'd approach it in that way if I were you.
All right, let me send you this copy of Take Your Life Back. I wish you could join us for Finding Freedom. I think it could really help you. In Take Your Life Back, there are 4 things. We say you've got to be the defender of your value. She's not doing that. You've got to be the decider in your life. She's not doing that. The developer of good things. And then there's a 4th D. Then God can be the director, not a husband who's interested in controlling your life. It's a fine, delicate balance. And we want to see marriages heal, but sometimes it's the tough stuff we have to get through before that can ever happen. Now, I've told you this Friday is Finding Freedom. It's in Southern California. Chris Williams and I are going to be doing that. Every Man's Battle is April the 3rd in Columbus, Ohio. Restore comes up in June, and then we'll be doing Intimacy in Marriage July the 24th. Now, that totally filled up last time. That's in D.C. You'll want to sign up for that very soon. And then you could still join us for the Rhine River Cruise. Right now, people are saying, oh, you know, what's going to happen with coronavirus? Let me tell you, this is in September. We will, either we're going to be in really big trouble and none of us will go, or this will all be taken care of by then, and we're going to have a great experience. You call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. All right, if you're on the line, we don't get to you, hold on, and we're going to do another program right after this. If you're watching or listening on Facebook Live, you could join us. We're going to do another hour, 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to Darlene, Knoxville, Tennessee, WRJZ. That's the station. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. What can we help you with today?
Okay, I have a question. I'm a child of God. I believe that God has first position. But my question is for pastors who are married, who have families. God, in every God's child's life, God wants first position. That that's where he belongs. But if you're married and you have family and you have children and you have your commitment in your marriage, how do you work that out? And especially remembering Billy Graham. I watched Billy Graham on Netflix, and he was talking about he would cry as he was leaving his wife, because when he would go, he would be gone for like 3 months at a whack, and his wife would cry. And Billy, said that he would cry as he was leaving them, but he left them to serve God. So my question is.
But Billy Graham also says one of his great regrets is that he did not spend more time with his family and make them a priority.
Right.
I think Jesus was really clear about this. He said this, and then I'll tell you why I think he said this. You can't put God first if you don't put your marriage first. So here's why I say he said that. He said the number one priority is to love God, right? Then he says second but equal. Now, how can something be second but equal? Because they have to exist at the same time. He says second but equal, you have to love your neighbor as yourself. And that means you have to love your spouse like you are so interested in yourself. And if you're not doing that while loving God, you're missing it. So he says second but equal. So what I'm saying is you can't go off and say, I love God and who cares about my family? Because Jesus is saying, yeah, but wait a second, buddy. You better be sure your family is your priority right along with your love for God, because it's second and equal. All right, Milan or Alice, your thoughts on this? Ministry is important. God needs to be number one, but second and equal. If you're married or not married, even people are second but equal. What do you guys think?
1 Timothy chapter 3 and Titus 1 says that in order to be eligible to be in ministry, your family has to be in great order. And that sets the base here. I don't have time, because the show is about to end, to ask you what is the genesis or nature of your question. But there is no tension in my life, because wherever I'm at, I love the person I'm with. I love my family. I'm with my family. I make sure I have time. I love the Lord. I serve him. There's no tensions. There's no having to create orders here, or the order or priority. I do both. And it's possible to do more than one thing at the same time. Alice, what do you think?
I think our best display of loving God is how we love other people. And I think John 13 talks about that's how we're known to be Christians, by how well we love other people. But I think, Darlene, Milan is hitting on something, the why you're asking this question. And I hope you explore that. If a minister has hurt you or a husband has hurt you because their priorities weren't straight, it sounds like there's some grieving and processing to do if there's a personal nature to the reason why you asked the question.
Okay, no, it's not a personal nature. It's just something that, I'm doing Romans and studying Romans, and I know that God has to be number one in your life. And I was just wondering, because I'm not married, but I see, and I hear other people say, well, you've got to put your, they weren't in church because they put their family first. But
yeah, you just have to be sure that there's balance here. And I'm really glad you asked the question. And let me send you what I think is a great little book on all of this. It's called Toxic Faith, and it kind of helps you understand what happens when people don't get it right, or the balance isn't there. Now, let me ask you to do a favor for us. Let me ask you to support this ministry. In March, if you support us, we put together some amazing talks for you. I did some, Dr. Alice Benton, Chris Williams, Becky Brown. It's great, great stuff, all focused on coming near to God. If you feel distant from God, this is a great thank you, a gift of any amount. You get it. Now, we put together the Transformation Welcome Kit to Club New Life, and that's a recovery Bible, a recovery workbook, and 5 of the workbooks, not just one, and then our journal, our journal that directs you on how to work through the different seasons in your life of recovery. It's what we call the Transformational Welcome Kit, our way of saying thanks for signing up for Club New Life, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, Club New Life, at $30 a month. If you're a member and you want the kit, $10 a month increase, and we will send this to you. It's a fantastic way to deal with grief or the aftermath of divorce. Somebody you know might have been through that, or an eating disorder, or sexual integrity. All of it's there in addition to the general workbook. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Call us if you can help us. Call us if you need help. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Come join us for Finding Freedom. And thank you to Dr. Alice Benton and Milan Yerkovich. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.